Chetan Bhutani with us on the broadcast. He's joining us from outside the Hyderabad house. And Chetan, while many aspects of this pact are now being discussed, especially how it is in the benefit of Indians and what we are going to gain when it comes to certain specific sectors, but most importantly, how agriculture and dairy are very sticky points. India has made that amply clear that this is in the best interest of our Indian farmers. This will be kept out. And, that is a place as far as imports are concerned where these two sectors will not be involved.
Well, absolutely. India has been critically talking about how they will not be budging towards opening up the dairy and the agriculture sector, because remember, Trump in its previous addresses also has mentioned that India is being very sticky and not being reliant on agriculture and dairy. And Prime Minister Modi himself has said that the government is very, very, very serious about not opening up its farm and dairy sector, because it is a very conscious sector and the government wants the benefit of its farmers. But what all sectors are likely to benefit from this deal? Because as Prime Minister announced that this deal has already been signed, and of course it's the mother of all deals. Three to four key sectors are likely to be benefit for India. Why is it a big win? The export growth in improved access to pharmaceuticals, textiles, IT, services, chemicals and engineered goods that form a significant part of exports to the EU. FDI could probably be opened up in clean energy sectors, as our guests were probably mentioning before. Advanced technology, supply chain diversification is one key sector where the government and the EU would be working very closely together for India's benefit. Trade scale is the another sector where the government would be scaling up its trade massively, because remember, after the US tariffs, the government has pivoted towards opening up the market for various other countries, and with the EU opening up, it would actually remove a lot of trade barriers. So India-EU trade goods crossed about $120 billion in 2024, underlining the economic weight agreement. Swesha, well, how will the European Union, the European countries will benefit? I'd like to add that automobiles, machinery, luxury goods, wines and spirit will be the market that would be watched out for, because remember, when these markets get opened up, we would be seeing a lot of European cars, German-made cars coming to India at a very subsidized rates. The government currently imposes about 110% duty on import of CKDs, which means that for a completely built unit you have to pay 110% tax, but now it would be at 40%. So for cars like Volkswagen, Skoda, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, we would be expecting a significant rate cut, and in the times to come, the rate could be about in 10%. But yes, that would take a lot of time, because both the houses of parliament in India and in EU need to ratify the trade agreement. So we are expecting a 8 to 10 month timeline until these trade deals come into effect.
Chetan, I request you and Pranay to stay on with us as we break down all these details for our viewers to really understand how this EU deal is advantageous for India, what exactly is it going to do for our exporters, for our importers, and most importantly, how farmers and agriculture and dairy products have been kept out of it. Now, exporters primarily to get huge relief from Trump's tariffs, given the high US tariffs and the global trade disruption that it has caused. India, of course, taking the hit. So that is one aspect that certainly will see a relief. An alternate market that it will provide for tariff hit exporters, and that is where the EU market opens up for India. This could certainly boost exports to EU to the tune of $50 billion by 2031. Is how this deal has been planned, and the numbers that we are expecting to hit by 2031. The big gainers in particular will be the pharma sector, the textile sector and the chemicals industry that will hugely gain from this trade deal. Of course, the politically sensitive agriculture and dairy products have been protected in the interest of the Indian farmers, but largely all these sectors, like I mentioned, are hugely going to gain from this trade deal. Let's listen in to those statements that were made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi that draw the roadmap to how this deal has been carved out.
दुनिया में लोग इसकी चर्चा मदर ऑफ ऑल डील्स के रूप में कर रहे हैं। ये समझौता भारत के 140 करोड़ लोगों और यूरोपीय देशों के करोड़ों लोगों के लिए बहुत बड़े अवसर लेकर आया है। ये दुनिया की दो बड़ी इकोनॉमीज के बीच तालमेल का एक शानदार उदाहरण बना है। ये समझौता ग्लोबल जीडीपी के करीब 25% और ग्लोबल ट्रेड के करीब 1/3 हिस्से को रिप्रेजेंट करता है। ये समझौता ट्रेड के साथ साथ डेमोक्रेसी और रूल ऑफ लॉ के प्रति हमारे शेयर्ड कमिटमेंट को भी सशक्त करता है। साथियों, ईयू के साथ हुआ ये फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट ब्रिटेन और एप्टा समझौतों को भी कॉम्प्लीमेंट करेगा। इससे ट्रेड और ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन दोनों को मजबूती मिलेगी। मैं भारत के नौजवानों को, सभी देशवासियों को इसके लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। मैं टेक्सटाइल, जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी, लेदर एंड शूज ऐसे हर सेक्टर से जुड़े साथियों को भी बधाई देता हूं। ये समझौता आपके लिए बहुत सहायक सिद्ध होगा। साथियों, इस ट्रेड डील से भारत में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को तो बल मिलेगा ही, साथ ही सर्विसेज से जुड़े सेक्टर का भी और अधिक विस्तार होगा। ये फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट दुनिया के हर बिजनेस, हर इन्वेस्टर के लिए भारत पर कॉन्फिडेंस को और मजबूत करेगा।